In this podcast, two Gen Xers are taking a trip down memory lane, revisiting and reflecting on the cinema of the 1980s. We'll look at the hits and the flops, the studio blockbusters and art house indies, the critically acclaimed, and the universally reviled. The series is hosted by me, Lisa Molinelli, a writer and librarian, and features Dustin Morrow, a filmmaker, author, and professor of film. So pull on your legwarmers, crank up your boombox, and hop in the DeLorean. It's time for the Long Rewind. Welcome to the Long Rewind. I'm your host, Lisa, and with me as always is Dustin.
Hola.
And today we're here to talk to you, continue to talk to you about the Oscars of the 1980s. We're here on the red carpet. Dustin's in his tux. This week I am in my American Express Gold credit card dress from 1995, worn by Lizzie Gardner, costumer of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Go look it up. It's amazing and has quite a history. So, yeah, I wanted to introduce...
Yeah, I remember that dress.
Yeah, you remember that dress? I know. I was trying to introduce last week and this week some people to some of the famous Oscar
that was
dresses.
Wild.
Yeah, that's an amazing dress.
Did you remember, was it the Oscars where Bjork wore a swan?
I should look that up.
I think that was the Oscars.
Was it the Oscars?
I think it was.
Maybe it was, because she must have gone for...
Dancer in the Dark.
Dancer in the Dark, yeah. That, if we go into another week, maybe I'll wear the swan dress next week. But go look that up if you don't know the swan dress.
Is that your favorite? Is that gold credit cards? Is that your favorite Oscar dress?
Oh no, not by any means. But it's a cool dress. It's really interesting. I looked it up, and actually, all of the cards were authentic, but had expired.
Oh wow!
And
where did she get them?
I don't know, but she got like
70 people's credit cards, expired credit cards.
It's probably way more than 70. I think she was going to use it in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. She'd conceived it for that, but it was forbidden. American Express forbade it. So she wore it to the Oscars instead.
Huh. All right.
Yeah, kind of cool. So
what we're doing, if you heard last week's episode, we're sort of re-evaluating, reflecting on the Oscars of the 80s. We're kind of going category by category through the five major categories, plus the song, because it's fun to talk about the songs each year, and sort of discussing whether, we think they got it right, whether the winner, the choice of the winner has stood the test of time, how it's sort of thought about today, how we think about it today, our own personal kind of feelings on it. Yep. And it's just fun in the same way that we dedicate a bunch of episodes to crawling through each year, almost month by month, in terms of release. It's kind of fun to crawl through the Oscars. 80s category by category.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
it's pretty rare that people look back at the Oscars with this level of detail and scrutiny. So it's kind of a good time.
I think you often find yourself surprised at, oh, wow, I don't even know what that movie is, or, whatever.
Yeah, as you were reading some of the nominees for the first few years that we did, first couple of years, I was surprised that some of those people even were nominated. I never realized that Melinda Dillon had a nomination, or Elizabeth McGovern, that some of these actors even were Oscar nominees. Yeah,
it's really interesting. And also, if you want to hear more about just our general thoughts and experiences and opinions on the Oscars as a whole,
we spent the first 20 minutes of last week's episode kind of reflecting on the Oscars in the 80s in general.
We're not going to do that now.
All right, so we're up to 83.
We're up to 83.
So take us into it.
Okay.
Lisa.
So 1983, we're going to start with actor in a leading role, and the winner was Ben Kingsley for Gandhi. The nominees were Dustin Hoffman for Tootsie, Jack Lemmon for Missing, Paul Newman for The Verdict, and Peter O'Toole for My Favorite Year. Some major titans in this category. Your thoughts?
I mean, I don't know. I find Gandhi to be ponderous and dull.
I've never seen it, but I've heard that about it.
So more on that in a bit. Because it wins Best Picture.
Maybe a big year for Gandhi,
Would not be my choice. And so, but I don't know, I haven't seen it in so long that I can't necessarily say, certainly would never see Ben Kingsley's bad in anything.
No, certainly.
Or that he didn't deserve the Oscar. I will say that the two performances that you just read that have stuck with me and that I've revisited many, many times are Hoffman in Tootsie and Newman in The Verdict. And between those two, I would probably give it to Newman. It's another, we talked about this last week, but it's another example of an actor. When he won for Color of Money, I think it was kind of like, oh my God, Newman's been around for 40 years doing like unbelievable work, and we've never given him an Oscar. So they give it to him for what I would say, even though it's a Scorsese movie, a lesser film in his filmography. But I don't know that he was ever better than he was in The Verdict. He's incredible in The Verdict. It's a great movie. It's maybe the greatest, for me, the greatest courtroom movie ever made.
I should see that. See, this is, again, we're going through these and I'm like, man, I really need to see that.
Sidney Lumet. It's Boston. It's so good. It's so good. And he has this like 6-7 minute monologue at the end that was done in one unbroken take where he's addressing the jury, and it's a master class. I mean, he's incredible in it.
Sounds Oscar worthy for sure. The only
Hoffman is also great in Tootsie.
It's the only one I
should
know.
say. I mean, that movie was a political lightning rod. I don't know that movie could be made today. But he's really funny in it and really empathetic, while also kind of being like, that character is kind of a pain in the ass, but he kind of wins you over anyway. It's a tricky role for many different reasons. Not just the politics, the kind of political landmines that he was walking over in doing that performance, but also basically what I just said, which is that his character is not always sympathetic, but he has to get you on his side. And he does that as an actor, and he's really, really good in it.
It's the only performance of these that I know, and I definitely agree. Although, I mean, all these actors, I love Jack Lemmon. Peter O'Toole obviously is amazing. So, I don't know those movies. I had heard The Verdict was really, really
they're good. Missing is by Costa Gavras. It's a political thriller about a man whose son disappears in South America. My favorite year is
I've heard of that.
About Peter O'Toole plays essentially himself. He's like this drunken, cavorting actor who has to be babysat by what's his name? Mark Lynn Baker from Perfect Strangers.
Yeah.
It's a comedic role.
Wow. That sounds pretty fun.
Yeah, two great actors. They both have done better work, so I don't know that those would be the movies, but yeah.
Cool. Okay.
All right, supporting actor.
Actor in a supporting role. Winner was Louis Gossett Jr. for An Officer and a Gentleman. Nominees were Charles Durning for The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas.
That blows my mind. I mean, I like Charles Durning. He was great.
Yeah, I like him too.
It blows my mind that The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas got a nomination for anything.
I mean, I haven't seen it. I'm aware of it. Yeah, it's weird. John Lithgow for Lithgow?
Yep. Lithgow.
For The World According to Garp, excuse me.
What'd you say, Garth?
I almost said Garth.
Oh, Garth, like Wayne and Garth?
Yeah, but then I tried to say Garp and it came out funny.
That would be a different movie. The World According to Garth movie. From Wayne and Garth.
I would 100% watch that movie.
Sure.
But that was John Lithgow for The World According to Garp, James Mason for The Verdict, and Robert Preston for Victor Victoria. So what do you think?
I think it's a weak category. I like all five of these actors.
Yeah, totally.
Gossett was fine in Officer and a Gentleman. It's not a particularly demanding part necessarily. He's just playing a stern
drill instructor.
Yeah. Who kind of has a hidden heart of gold. So I guess there's something there. I think Lithgow had kind of a showy part for that era, which I think he plays a transvestite in that movie at a time when not a lot of kind of straight actors were doing that kind of work. I mean, it doesn't seem like anything today, but it was maybe a big deal back at that in that time. Mason is great in The Verdict. He's a good villain in The Verdict. He's the villain. I don't know. It's not. I don't know that it's the strongest category ever.
Right.
Yeah.
Next, we have actress in a leading role. Winner was Meryl Streep for Sophie's Choice.
Yeah.
Often wins the Oscar. Nominees were Julie Andrews for Victor Victoria, Jessica Lange for Frances, Sissy Spacek for Missing, and Deborah Winger for An Officer and a Gentleman. What do you think?
What do you think? You've seen The Winner, right?
No.
You've never seen
I've never
Sophie's
seen
Choice?
Sophie's Choice.
Oh.
I mean, I know it as a touchstone, but I have not seen it. The only one of these I've seen is An Officer and a Gentleman. You would have thought I've seen Victor Victoria, but I haven't.
Yeah.
So it's the only one I can speak to is Deborah Winger, who is great in it, I think. I mean, usually Meryl Streep wins, so I don't know. I don't know what to say.
Or at least gets nominated.
Yeah, or she at least gets nominated. I mean, I love Julie Andrews, Jessica. They're all amazing actresses. I only know the one performance to speak to, so I don't know.
Yeah, they're all good. They're all great actors. Deborah Winger is such an interesting actor. Disappeared, obviously, for many years. Not maybe only partially through her own decision, because she burned so many bridges. She's a very outspoken actor and very apparently difficult to work with. And, you could never assume that based on one person's opinion, but that came up over and over for her. Like apparently everybody who worked with her found her difficult to work with, and to the point where like not a lot of people would work with her.
Got it.
But was such I don't know. It's hard to describe. She's a good actor, but there's also just something the camera really.
She has a presence.
Yeah, she's a real film actor. I mean, she's vibrant on the screen, and
I think that's true.
It's a dopey movie, but Urban Cowboy would actually be the one that I would point people who have whatever an interest in Deborah Winger, and I'd be like, you want to see like a firecracker on screen, like somebody who really just like steals a movie from a real A-list movie star.
That's true.
Watch that movie.
Yeah.
But she kind of does it again in Officer and a Gentleman too.
It's not a dissimilar
She
part
kind of steals that movie
similar,
from under Richard Gere, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's true. Would you put her above Meryl Streep in Sophie's Choice
No.
here? Okay.
The scene, right, in Sophie's Choice, just the way she plays that scene alone is probably merits an Oscar. In some ways, it's an actor's dream part, right? To play something that difficult, that scene.
Sure.
The Choice.
I would assume it's The Choice. Yes.
Yeah, The Choice scene.
Right.
But, she's very good in it.
Well, that sounds like they maybe got it right then.
Yeah.
Actress in a supporting role, the winner was Jessica Lange for Tootsie. I guess she had 2 nominations that year. Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
That doesn't happen super often. Nominees were also Glenn Close for The World According to Garp, Terry Garr for Tootsie, Kim Stanley for Frances, and Leslie Ann Warren for Victor Victoria. So, yeah.
I'm surprised by all this love for Victor Victoria.
Yeah, I've heard it's fun. I haven't ever seen it.
It's pretty dumb.
Is it? Yeah, I've not seen it. I know what it is, but I haven't seen it.
They probably got this right too. I would just say that I love Terry Garr.
I know,
and
she's so great.
I think Terry Garr should have won an Oscar at some point
For something.
I don't know what, but maybe Firstborn, which is an underseen drama thriller that she made about a disintegrating family.
Right.
That she's amazing in. But I just loved her. Loved her on Letterman.
I know. she was great in After Hours.
She was so great in all the Mel Brooks movies.
Oh, yeah.
And
she's so great.
Yeah, I think eventually developed multiple sclerosis.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and
sorry to hear that.
And it kind of ended her career, essentially.
Yeah, she's a treasure.
But yeah, she was great. She was like... her and Goldie Hawn were had cornered the market on the charming ditzy girl.
Yeah. She's so good.
And she's really funny in Tootsie. She's very, very funny. It's not as interesting a part as the one Jessica Lange gets, but
it's a little more thankless maybe, but okay. Directing. The winner was. I had a feeling
blow this one,
especially now that I'm seeing who else is on here.
Man, did they blow this one?
Well, the winner was Richard Attenborough for Gandhi.
Yeah.
The nominees.
Pardon me while I raspberry into my microphone.
Okay, so I'm guessing you don't agree with this one, and especially now that I'm seeing the other nominees. Yeah. Wolfgang Peterson for Das Boot, Steven Spielberg for E.T., Sidney Pollack for Tootsie, and Sidney Lumet for The Verdict. So I'll be interested to hear what you have to say about this.
This is a joke. Even Peterson does more interesting work than Attenborough does in Gandhi. This is this is a virtue signaling, like political whatever
Okay.
win, essentially.
But what I'm most interested in, because I'm seeing a lot of movies here that you really like and admire, and a lot of directors you really like and admire. So who would you choose?
I would pick E.T.
Okay, it would be E.T. for you, for
which
sure.
I'm also going to pick for picture.
Okay.
In a minute. I don't know. Is it Spielberg's best movie? Probably not. That's probably Jaws. It might not even be his second best movie. That might be Raiders. But man, it's so good.
So even above Tootsie and The Verdict.
And I've read too that this is another one of those like real, even at the time, people were like, wait, what?
Oh,
because
wow.
E.T. was such a phenomenon. It was one of those like it saved the film industry kind of movies.
Yeah.
It was so big. It was it was the biggest grossing film of all time until
I don't think
Titanic.
I quite realized that at the time.
Yeah, it was absolutely huge. And it's, he has said it's his most personal movie.
Yeah.
It's a film about divorce.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. It's so tender. It's
is,
easy because it's such a central part of pop culture. It's kind of like Star Wars and a lot of other movies.
Oh yeah, it is the 80s. It's
that. Well, yeah. But what I was going to say is that it's so its iconography is so embedded in so many other things that it can be easy to forget that the film how good the film itself is, how masterfully made it is. Back to the Future is kind of like this too. Mm-hmm. Like if you showed Back to the Future to somebody who had somehow been born and lived their entire life in a cave and didn't know anything about it, they would be like, oh my God, this is like one of the greatest movies ever made because it's just that well done. It's just hard to remember sometimes that like, I think how good some of these movies as movies are. It
is hard to remember. I do. So it sounds like maybe it was partially virtue signaling and politics at the time, but do you think it's also like it was a kid's considered perhaps even if it wasn't really a kid's movie, a kid's movie, and so and it had a puppet in it essentially? Do you think that hurt it, or
it was more that, and I don't know that I would say the Gandhi thing is virtue signaling so much as like it's just the kind of movie that wins Oscars.
It's an Oscar bait type of a movie.
3-hour
biopic,
3-hour
basically.
biopic by a famous British director starring a famous British actor that happens to tell the story of somebody that everybody in the Academy thought was a hero and was a hero.
Who was a hero. Very admirable. Yeah.
But that doesn't make the movie
great.
Right.
And,
I mean, this should go without saying. I'm not saying taking anything away from Mahatma Gandhi.
Of course
himself.
not. No.
It's the film.
And those are the things we need to remember with the Oscars. Is it's not about the thing it's about. It should be about the film, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't always happen.
Yeah. So I mean, Tootsie is better. Tootsie is one of the best comedies of the 80s. Mm-hmm. The Verdict, as I said, maybe my favorite courtroom movie.
Yeah.
So, I would put those above Gandhi too in a heartbeat. I mean, you could go back and listen to our episode on this year, but there were probably 24 movies I thought were better than
Well, I don't think we didn't even
year.
talk about Gandhi till it came to talking about the Oscars.
Yeah.
So I have never seen it.
All right, what about song?
Well, as you might be able to guess, the winner was Up Where We Belong from An Officer and a Gentleman. Always don't sing too much of it. The other nominees were Eye of the Tiger from Rocky 3. You should not be singing too much of that song. We don't want. Okay. Right.
I probably got the words wrong, in which case
we're safe.
We're fine. Yeah.
Okay. Eye of the Tiger from Rocky 3.
And we're talking about it in a critical.
We are talking about it
point of view, so that covers this too.
Okay, good. Fair use. Eye of the Tiger from Rocky 3.
Oh yeah,
great pump up song.
Isn't
of all
it
time.
funny that movie didn't come, or that song didn't come around until the third movie?
That is surprising.
Because it's so associated with Rocky.
Yeah, I know,
that you
really
would think
is.
it was there from the opening credits of the first movie, but it didn't show up until 3.
That is pretty surprising. A song called How Do You Keep the Music Playing in Best Friends? I don't know that song. If We Were in Love in Yes, Giorgio, which had music by John Williams, but I don't know anything about it. And It Might Be You in Tootsie, which I do know.
Yeah.
Do you think it should have been Eye of the Tiger, or do you feel like Up Where We Belong is appropriate?
No, I mean, I think Up Where We Belong is a better song. And but it is hard to. I'm trying to think of where in Rocky 3 Eye of the Tiger shows up.
I don't know.
Is it in the opening credits? Is it in the end credits?
I don't know.
How is it used? Because the other thing...
Is it a montage song? Maybe it's a montage song.
I mean, we haven't really talked about this, but how do you pick a best song at the Oscars,
I don't know.
It's interesting because it's the weirdest award that the Oscars give, which is why I thought it'd be fun for us to talk about it as we go through, because it's really the one that feels the furthest away from the craft of making
even
movies.
Score is closer to the craft of making
for sure,
music,
because the scores are written for
they
the film, and often the song is just kind of...
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes they're written for the film, and sometimes they just show up. Like Eye of the Tiger was not written for Rocky. It was...
Oh, is that right?
Stallone found that song, and it became the Rocky song. But, it's... I wonder if, like, the way to give that award, I'm sure nobody does this. I'm sure that the people that vote on these things just pick the song they like best.
This is probably a popularity contest, 100%. Yeah.
But I guess if I were in charge, which I'm not,
well, it's our show, though.
I would say if we're going to have this kind of dumb award be part of the Oscars, then maybe the winner should be the song that is best used in the movie, or kind of most impactfully, emotionally used in the movie. And in that case, they got it right, right? Because that song plays during the famous scene where he shows up and he picks her up and carries her. He's wearing his navy whites and
definitely. I think the It Might Be You song in Tootsie is also a good song, if I'm remembering it right.
It is. It's very like yacht rocky.
Yeah.
It's kind of a real like easy listening classic for sure.
I mean, it's 83.
If you're telling me and I hear you. It's that.
Right.
All of my life.
Right.
You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, so they probably got it right here.
Yeah. We kind of talked about this already.
Yeah, the best
and
picture.
We're moving really slow through these. So
sorry.
I'll just say, like, I would vote E.T. over Gandhi. What about you?
Well, Gandhi was the winner. It was E.T. missing Tootsie in the verdict. I mean, having not seen Gandhi, I can't speak to it, but I certainly believe you. And I've only otherwise seen E.T. and Tootsie. So, and that to me is kind of a tough pick, but E.T. was so iconic, I suppose it probably should have won. Yeah.
Really? You think that's a tough pick?
Well...
You really think that Tootsie might be better than E.T.? Come on. There's no way you actually think that. I mean, I love Tootsie.
Right,
I've seen it, like, probably dozens of times.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Let's be serious.
No, you're right.
Come on.
You're right. Yeah?
Yeah.
Right.
Or 84.
84. Actor.
Not to bully you. I mean, if you want,
I can't.
People at home are going, let her make up her own mind. Damn it.
I can't really make a case.
So yeah,
for
if you want to say Tootsie is better than E.T., then it's a hot take.
I didn't say that. Please, nobody hurt me.
Okay.
1984. Actor in a leading role. The winner was Robert Duvall for Tender Mercies, which I think that if I'm remembering the right movie, I love that movie.
Yeah, it's great. That's when he plays a country singer.
Oh, yes, I love this movie.
Is down and out and kind of drops out of society and ends up marrying this young widow out in East Texas, and they kind of form a little family, and he rebuilds his life. It's a beautiful movie. I
love that movie a lot. And he won for Best Actor.
Yeah.
Nominees were Michael Caine for Educating Rita, which I also enjoyed.
Yep.
Tom Conti, the wonderful Tom Conti for Reuben, which I don't know. Tom Courtenay for The Dresser, and Albert Finney for The Dresser.
Yep. Yeah.
Thoughts?
Well, you tell me. You've seen a couple of them.
I've seen two of these performances. I mean, I love Tender Mercies. I thought it was wonderful. I'd agree with the winner, I think.
Yep. I think they got it right. I'm surprised I'm surprised how often I'm finding that I think they did get it right.
Yeah.
Because my memory, I don't know, my general feeling about the Oscars is that they always mess it up.
You may be thinking of the 90s.
Maybe that's more true later. Maybe the 80s, they just happened to get it right, or like the voting was different or something.
Yeah.
But I like recently, like in the last, and when recently I mean like the last 20 years, it's hard for me to think of like tons of times where I feel like they got it right in major categories.
So maybe we're
but
not
I'm
thinking
surprised
of the
at how
80s.
often I'm finding.
Yeah.
I mean, we're also just basing this on the nominees.
Right.
Like if we went back to our list.
Yeah.
Right.
Although a lot of these performances, it's hard to argue that they were not good performances. So
yeah. But like we're not talking about everything that was available from that year. I mean, next year, 85, Kathleen Turner was not nominated. And for me, that's like one of the great performances of the 80s. So, yeah.
All right. So actor in a supporting role, we have the winner is Jack Nicholson for Terms of Endearment. Mm-hmm. Nominees were Charles Durning, To Be or Not to Be, John Lithgow for Terms of Endearment, Sam Shepard for The Right Stuff, and Rip Torn in Cross Creek.
Love that name. One of my favorite names of any actor, Rip Torn, who is apparently like, he's one of those actors that, like Seagal or Bill Murray or whatever, where you could fill a book of stories about them by other people.
Eccentric, right? Yeah.
He was nutty, and there are a lot of great Rip Torn stories out there.
Gosh, that's pretty wild.
He was a little unhinged, I think.
So yeah, I mean, I know that that's a great performance.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson.
Nicholson is great. It's always hard when he's being very Jack Nicholson-esque to tell. It can be hard to tell how good the performance actually is.
Right.
You can argue that to the degree that there's a part of an actor's performance for a movie actor is their charisma on screen. We were talking about it with Deborah Winger, right? Mm-hmm. And to that degree, like, there's few people better than Nicholson. Like, he's just a great film actor. I mean, he's fun to watch, but he often is kind of playing variations on himself.
Very Nicholson-y
and
parts.
So it can be hard to tell sometimes. He does that often enough that, like, when you see him not doing it, it's always a little striking. It always feels a little bit of like a revelation to me. Mm-hmm. Like About Schmidt was like the last time I can remember thinking like, wow, that's Nicholson.
Oh, he's like acting.
Yeah, exactly. Especially as he got older. I mean, a lot of the actors do this, right? A lot of great actors. De Niro. How many times has De Niro played
leaned
the same
on his De Niro
character?
Yeah. And fair enough.
But when he was young, it was a different story.
Right. So, yeah, what do you... I know 3 of these performances.
Yeah, I don't know that I would change this.
It seems good.
I love The Right Stuff. It's a great movie.
I do too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Actress in a leading role. The winner was Shirley MacLaine for Terms of Endearment. The nominees were Jane Alexander for Testament, Meryl Streep for Silkwood, Julie Walters in Educating Rita, and Deborah Winger for Terms of Endearment. She shows up again. That seems... I've only seen 3 of these performances, so I can't speak to Meryl or Jane here.
Yeah.
But this seems right.
Testament is a small budget movie about a woman in a rural community following a nuclear bomb going off in the distance.
Okay.
And so she's not near a population center. Uh-huh. So she just her husband like disappeared. And so she's kind of keeping things together herself. Wow. And she's got all these kids. Ooh. And the radiation slowly starts to kill off all her kids.
Holy.
And so the whole movie, like, she's just doing it on her own. She's like sewing body bags for her kids. It's a pretty tough movie and a tough performance.
I know she's an amazing actress, right? I've heard of her. She's pretty
she's British.
Well known.
Wow. I mean, Meryl Streep's great, and Silkwood. The MacLaine thing is, it's a very big, broad, showy performance. There's a lot of screaming in it. It's a very comedic performance. Mm-hmm. I actually think Winger is maybe better in that movie, but Shirley MacLaine's great. Yeah.
Interesting. A couple of like nuclear centered movies. Must have been something people were thinking about for obvious reasons. Actress in a supporting role. Winner was Linda Hunt for The Year of Living Dangerously. Nominees were Cher for Silkwood, Glenn Close for The Big Chill, Amy Irving for Yentl, and Alfre Woodard for Cross Creek. I don't know any of these performances. So I like Linda Hunt quite a bit. if I'm remembering the right
She's
actress.
great. It
I
would
love
never
her,
happen
so-
today because she plays an Asian man.
Oh dear. Yeah, no, I suppose that wouldn't happen today.
But she's very good.
She's an excellent actress in general. I've
But
liked
it's
her in other things.
it's definitely like, and it's a real, how do I say this? It's not like Mickey Rooney and
I see.
Breakfast at Tiffany's or anything
Right.
like that, but still, like the idea
would not
of it
be
would never
happening.
happen.
I didn't realize Cher was in Silkwood.
But she's a good actress, and
she is.
you know, because of her diminutive size, I don't know that she got as many parts as she probably should have gotten over the years. But she was very good. I would imagine most young people today have no idea who Linda Hunt is.
I'm thinking of her in the Western.
Silverado.
Yeah, I love her in Silverado. She's great in that.
She's great. I will say this is I'll never miss an opportunity to say that I think The Big Chill is crap.
I've never seen it, but
Nothing against Glenn Close, is a great actress.
of course,
But yeah, it's bad.
I feel like it's probably of its time.
This was the movie that definitely made Cher viable as an actor.
Okay, I didn't.
though.
Silkwood, you're talking about.
And I think Meryl Streep got her the part.
Oh, interesting.
And when she won a few years later for Moonstruck,
Oh, yeah.
she thanked Meryl Streep for helping her kind of find some validity as an actor.
That's cool.
Yeah.
She's a great actress. She's really great.
Yeah, I don't know that she's great, but she has presence. I mean, she brings her presence, presence as a personality to her performances when she's cast well.
Right. I mean, the things she's been in, I feel like generally.
You have to cast her right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she is good. You're right. I mean, she was good in. Moonstruck is like she's playing Cher, right?
But she's a delight.
Yeah, and like Mermaids, she's playing Cher.
That's true.
So I was trying to think, but Silkwood is a real character.
I would think. I haven't seen it.
And the movie I think she's really good in is Mask.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Anything else on supporting?
Let's do directing.
Okay, directing. Director, the winner was James L. Brooks for Terms of Endearment. Other nominees were Peter Yates for The Dresser, Ingmar Bergman for Fanny and Alexander, Mike Nichols for Silkwood, and Bruce Beresford for Tender Mercies.
Yeah.
Thoughts? I know 2 of these movies. Tender
but
Mercies
look at
and
this
Terms of
list of
Endearment.
directors.
I know.
James L. Brooks, Mike Nichols, Ingmar Bergman, for God's sakes. I mean, good God. Ingmar Bergman.
Imagine winning over Ingmar Bergman.
Yeah, can you imagine?
What a feeling that must be.
Who cares that you won? I would just get a shirt made that was like, I beat
Ingmar Bergman. Yeah, that's really something.
Yeah. I mean, it was often the case that like the movie that won Best Picture would also win Director when it wasn't necessarily probably the best directed movie.
It was maybe more of a coattails kind of situation. Yeah.
And this is probably an example of that.
Yeah.
James L. Brooks is fine. I don't find that his stuff, I don't know that it has a ton of personality for me personally. I do think Terms of Endearment is a good movie.
Yeah, for sure.
I like Broadcast News. What else has he done? Spanglish.
Did he do that? Yeah,
he's made some stuff that's not that great too.
But those two are good.
But they're like, there's nothing about them. They're directed with kind of like an efficiency that you would expect from somebody that had a long career in TV.
We're talking professional. We're not talking
Brooks
auteur. Like you can tell it's not like Scorsese or something where you can tell.
Or Bergman. He's not going to be doing like the kind of work that Bergman was doing, or even Nichols.
Right. Even Mike
Beresford,
Nichols. Right.
So it's a bit of a weird win, and I suspect it's probably just because
a lot of the actors and actresses also won. So it was just one of those sweep kind of years.
It was a sweep year, yeah, for sure.
Again, another shout out for Tender Mercies,
all right.
which I really love.
I'm ready to sing.
Oh boy.
Let's go.
All right. Well, the winner for Best Original Song this year was Flashdance, What a Feeling in Flashdance. You're going to get us in so much trouble. Oh my God. So much trouble. Okay. So that was the winner.
By Giorgio Moroder.
So it was.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it does make a lot of sense. Maniac in Flashdance was also nominated.
That's hilarious that Maniac was nominated.
Right? Well,
I wonder if it's on YouTube.
80s.
I wonder if you can find, do you think he did it? I would love
you
to
mean,
see.
Did they show? Yeah, they
I'd
would
love
have had
see,
to have done a
like,
performance.
I'd love to see the Maniac performance
That would be
from
great.
the Oscars.
Oh, we should go look that up. Everybody, let's go look that up.
By Michael Cimbello, singer of Rock Until You Drop from the Monster Squad. Shout out to
We
Fred
love you,
Decker.
Fred. That's right. Over You and Tender Mercies.
Yep.
Papa, Can You
is
Hear
a
Me? And
beautiful song.
Yentl.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead. What did you say?
I'm just saying that's a lovely song.
Yeah. So all the music in that is really lovely. So yay.
And then a couple of things from Yentl.
Yeah, Papa, Can You Hear Me? Which I think many of us probably know. And
I
the
don't
way
know
he
it.
made, you don't know that song?
No. I'm not sure I've ever seen Yentl, to be
You
honest.
probably know Papa, Can You Hear Me?
Probably one of the few movies, might be one of the few movies from the 80s that I somehow missed.
You know this song, I promise. The Way He Makes Me Feel in Yentl, I don't know, but it was also...
Oh, I know it. It was by Michael Jackson. The way he
No,
makes me
no,
feel.
you're going to get us in so much trouble. That's not even what we're talking about. Okay.
Well, how does Papa Can You Hear Me go?
Papa, Can You Hear Me? It's Barbara Streisand. It's a very Barbara Streisand song. I don't know. You ready for Best Picture? Or you want to talk about the...
Well, I would just say that based on these 5 nominees, I think they got it right.
Yeah. Although the Tender Mercy song is really lovely.
Although I will say, I've always thought it's a little dumb that what if the song is clearly What a Feeling.
Right.
And they retitled it at some point. Flashdance.
So people would remember it was from...
What a
That
Feeling.
doesn't make any sense.
She never says Flashdance in the song.
Of course she doesn't.
Yeah.
They don't do that to Maniac. It's
No.
not like Flashdance ... Maniac.
That would
Anyway.
be really weird.
Well, I'm just saying.
You've never seen Flashdance, right?
I haven't really, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen parts of it, of course.
We have to remedy that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an 80s classic. You have to see it.
I do need to see it.
You're a host of an 80s movie podcast.
I know.
You have to see Flashdance.
It's not that I haven't seen parts of it. Of course, I've seen some of the major parts of it, but I haven't seen the whole thing start to finish.
It's delightful. It's really fun in the big sequence at the end where she's trying out
that I have
to see
seen,
all the shots that are clearly men.
Not her, yeah.
Not only
stunt
not her,
dancer.
but men.
A male dancer, yeah.
It's like so. It's
Is
one
it
of those
more
things.
than
It's like
one
now that I
male
know, I can't
You
not
can't
see
unsee
it.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, are you ready for Best Picture? Do you have more to say about?
Yeah, I'll just say, yeah, I like Terms of Endearment.
It is the winner, Terms of Endearment. Yeah.
It's a lovely movie. It's sad. It's
Yes,
soap
it is.
operatic.
Yeah.
The acting
All
is
true.
really good, obviously.
Yep.
Probably wouldn't be my pick from these nominees.
Well, I'm guessing it's not going to be the next one as your pick. The Big Chill was another nominee. Yeah. The Dresser, which I don't know, but sounds like I might like it. The Right Stuff, which is wonderful, and Tender Mercies, which is wonderful. So what are your thoughts here?
Guess.
I think you're going to say The Right Stuff.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, it's about the space program.
Yeah, it's about the dawn of our
amazing.
space program. It's super fun.
It's a
a
great
really
movie.
fun,
Yeah.
upbeat.
And it gives you, I think, a really
movie.
good sense of that swaggery, ace pilot in the space program.
Lots
kind
of great
thing.
actors.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's great. Although, again, major shout out to Tender Mercies, which I love.
I'm a little surprised. I mean, it was a sweep year. So, I mean, I guess we just bought into Terms of Endearment in 1984. But I'm a little surprised that The Right Stuff didn't win. Although it was a bomb.
Was it a bomb?
Yeah.
Oh.
Now that I think about it, it's very well regarded now. It's considered something of a classic, but it did tank at the time it came out. So
and
maybe
that's
that
true.
was
They
it.
don't reward bombs.
In Terms
generally.
of Endearment was a hit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's the sort of money aspect coming into it.
All right. 85.
Ready for 85? Okay.
Yeah.
So these are the movies of 1984. Let's remind people.
Yep.
Actor in a leading role. The winner was F. Murray Abraham, Salieri from Amadeus. The nominees were Jeff Bridges for Starman, Albert Finney for Under the Volcano, Tom Hulse, who I think played Mozart, for Amadeus, and Sam Waterston for The Killing Fields.
Yeah.
I've seen Starman. I've seen Starman and Amadeus. I mean, the Amadeus performances are probably pretty showy in comparison to some of these other ones.
I've only seen The Killing Fields and Under the Volcano once, and it was a long time ago, so I don't
haven't seen
remember them.
those.
I love Albert Finney. He's one of my favorite actors,
Yeah,
and
he's
so I might vote for him just for that.
Just because he's Albert Finney.
But yeah.
I love Starman.
I think this may be another sweepy year. I think
Amadeus was probably.
Amadeus wins a lot. I guess we'll find out in a moment.
That would be my guess.
But I think it was a big year it was another one of these big splashy long biopic, things.
Yeah. Very Oscar baity. Shall we move on or more? Okay. Oh dear. I'm not going to pronounce this correctly. Actor in a supporting role. Sorry, say it again.
Hang Esnor.
That's the winner for actor in a supporting role for The Killing Fields.
Yep.
Nominees were Adolph Caesar for A Soldier's Story, John Malkovich for Places in the Heart, Noriyuki Pat Morita for The Karate Kid, Ralph Richardson in Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes, also really good. Thoughts?
I mean, it's pop culture-y, but like, come on. It's Pat Morita, isn't it?
I mean, I love him.
It's a character that, so it's, we talked about this with E.T., right? And I feel the same way about this performance in some ways, that it's so iconic. Mr. Miyagi. Mm-hmm. It's such a part of pop culture that it could be hard to maybe think about how good he is in it. And he's really, really, really good.
It is hard to think about. Yeah, that's true.
Not only that, but he was a stand-up comic who basically had Happy Days to his credit as an actor. And that was it. I mean, Ralph Macchio has told this story a million times, like finding out that Pat Morita was going to play Mr. Miyagi, and he was like, Arnold from Happy Days? Like, what?
It's hard for me to conceive of that because I knew him as Mr. Miyagi. That's how I knew him. I didn't know that other stuff. So
yeah, me too. I'm sure that I wasn't really thinking Happy Days when I saw this, but he's so good. True. And the scenes, I mean, he obviously nails all the comedic scenes, and there are a ton of those. Like, Mr. Miyagi's a really funny character.
Mm-hmm.
But there's also those lovely scenes, like where you find out that he lost a son and a wife in the war, and there's the scene where he gets drunk, and just the scenes where he bonds with the kid. It also is a part that, if you think about it, could have gone really wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it could have been done really poorly or even tastelessly in some ways. And he avoids all that.
Oh, yeah. You're right. It's a very understated
I'm glad to see he got nominated. I think maybe he...
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I'm glad.
Again, I don't remember The Killing Fields that well, and so I can't really comment on
I'm assuming that's about
performance.
Vietnam or Cambodia.
No, it's about Cambodia.
Yeah.
But, of these 5 roles, like, which one has stuck around? I mean, it's that one.
Yeah. Well, that's what's so interesting about the Oscars, right? It's not always about what sticks around. I mean, no one can know that. Nobody can know, but that's what it's interesting to look back and see that so much, it seems to be more about like the time than it is like right now rather than long term. Anything? I don't remember who Ralph Richardson was in Greystoke. I enjoyed Greystoke. I like it. I don't remember.
He's Lord Greystoke.
Oh, okay. On to actress in a leading role.
Yeah.
The winner was Sally Field for Places in the Heart.
You like me. You really, really like me.
Was that this year?
Yep,
okay.
This was that speech.
All right. Nominees were Judi Davis for A Passage to India, Jessica Lange for Country, Vanessa Redgrave for The Bostonians, and Sissy Spacek for The River. A bunch of titans here.
Well, this is interesting because 3 of these movies are these are the 3 big farm crisis movies.
Oh,
Country,
interesting.
The River, and Places in the Heart. Oh,
wow. So this is a big year for that.
So it was all the actresses from the farm crisis, 80s farm crisis films.
That didn't occur to me.
And of those 3, I would go Lang by easily.
Okay.
But, I think the Sally Field part is showier.
Showy often wins at the Oscars.
It's a period piece, and it's a more showy performance. But the Lang part is more... So she gets a great speech at the end where the bank is auctioning off all of their equipment and their cattle to pay the bank. Mm-hmm. And the community has come together to kind of protest it, and they start all yelling, "No sale, no sale."
Oh, wow.
And they shout them off the stage.
Yeah.
And the the bank guys get in their car, and as they're pulling out, Jessica Lange runs over their window, and she's like, "You can take our equipment, and you can take our cattle, but mister, when you come to take our land, you better come with more than a piece of paper because we ain't leaving.
Wow.
We ain't leaving." Yeah, it's a great scene.
There's your Oscar clip, folks.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So I would go Jessica
it sounds
Lange.
amazing. Yeah,
It's
I
on
get
this
it.
list. Although, as I've said before, Kathleen Turner and Romancing the Stone
Right.
would easily, she won the Golden Globe, but was not nominated at the Oscars because movies like Romancing the Stone don't get Oscar nominations.
At least they didn't
But
used
man,
to,
does she
yeah.
do good work in that movie.
Yeah, well, and that, again, a reminder that, like, if you probably, if you listen to our 1984 episode, it's not going to reflect most of what we're talking about here in terms of what, the movies nominated for the Oscars.
Yeah.
The other
I'm
thing
looking at the next category, and I can only even remember really one of these performances.
Right. The only other thing I wanted to say about actress in a leading role here is I'm seeing A Passage to India and the Bostonians, and I'm wondering if are those Merchant Ivory pictures?
Yep. Uh-huh.
So we're starting to see that, like, period piece Merchant Ivory.
The Bostonians
coming
I'm
in.
not sure Passage to
They
India
may
is,
not both be, but they're both
it's
that
a Merchant
similar.
Ivory-esque.
Yeah,
the
they're very
Bostonians is
yeah.
definitely Merchant Ivory, yeah.
So they're both of that ilk,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yep.
So that's kind of interesting to see that coming in. That became very big in the 90s. That's why I'm mentioning it. Actress in a supporting role. The winner was Peggy Ashcroft for A Passage to India. Nominees were Glenn Close for The Natural, which is a great movie, Lindsay Krause for Places in the Heart, Christine Lottie for Swing Shift, and Geraldine Page for The Pope of Greenwich Village.
Yeah, I mean, the
I know
Glenn
The
Close
Natural.
one only because I've seen The Natural a million times, but
Yeah.
I would not say it's an Oscar-worthy performance, so I don't really have anything to say about this category. I've seen all these movies. I just don't particularly remember these characters even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I should see A Passage to India. I'm guessing I'd like it.
Yeah.
Okay, on to directing. The winner was Milos Forman for Amadeus. As you said, possibly a sweep year here.
Yeah.
Nominees were Woody Allen for Broadway Danny Rose, The Killing Field, Roland Joffe for The Killing Fields, David Lean for A Passage to India, and Robert Benton for Places in the Heart. Thoughts?
I mean, some legendary filmmakers here.
Yeah,
I mean,
for
David
sure.
Lean made Lawrence of Arabia and
Oh, wow.
Dr.
Yeah.
Zhivago and
Oh, wow. I didn't know
Ryan's
that.
Daughter, and he had been around forever. So the fact that he was still working and creating work of this quality in the 80s is impressive.
Notable,
and of
yeah.
course, Woody Allen, was won for Annie Hall and for his screenplays won several times.
Back in the 70s, I'm assuming that was when that was happening.
Yeah, well, even as recently as Midnight in Paris, I think.
Oh, yeah,
won-
no, I know it
think
happened
that
more
won Best
recently too,
Screenplay,
but the ones you're talking about were from
and
the
his
70s.
and actresses.
Yeah.
He's a machine for getting actresses Oscars.
Yeah.
So yeah, some big names here. I've never been a huge fan of Amadeus. I like it well enough. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Milos Forman is great, I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah,
None of these five would be even on my short list of five probably from that year.
Considering this is 1984, that would be a big no from you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, 84 was my favorite year of this decade. And so it's a bummer to me that these are the five movies.
Yeah, none of these movies
Yeah.
we even talked about, maybe a little bit about Amadeus.
Yeah.
But, okay, music.
Song.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Best original song. The winner was, oh boy.
Oh,
Get ready. I
maybe
didn't even
the
know
worst.
this was...
Maybe the worst song by this guy ever.
Yeah, I didn't even know
Yeah.
this was from a movie, to be honest with you.
Ugh.
I Just Called to Say I Love You by the wonderful Stevie Wonder. It was from...
It always makes me think of High Fidelity and Jack Black.
Oh, I don't remember. What does he say about it?
Like this, he's a record store
Yeah,
clerk.
I would remember the movie very well. Yeah.
Some middle-aged guy comes in and he's like, I'm looking for, I just called to say I love you. And he's like, why do you want that? And he's like, I'm getting it from my daughter. And he goes, do you even know your daughter? He explodes.
Yeah,
he's like,
remember, right.
there's no way she wants that. There's no way. And he calls him an asshole and he ends up driving him out of the store.
He's amazing in that movie. That's from a movie called The Woman in Red, and I had no idea it was from a movie.
Yeah.
It was all over the radio.
It was a big hit, but what a bad song.
Yeah.
I mean, the 4 songs you're about to name are much better.
Oh, yes. Now that I'm looking at them. So Against All Odds, Take a Look at Me Now was also nominated. That's from Against All Odds by Phil Collins. Footloose by the delightful Kenny Loggins, of course, from the movie Footloose. Ghostbusters by Ray Parker Jr. And Let's Hear It for the Boy from Footloose. I'm really surprised that that's the thing that won out of all of these.
Yeah.
Surely everyone had heard all these other sons. All of them were on the radio all the time.
I don't think The Woman in Red was even a hit. So
I don't even know what it is.
It's kind of it's a Gene Wilder like adultery comedy.
Was
it's like
Gilda Radner in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's if you remember anything from it, the famous image from it is Kelly LeBrock, and she's wearing this red dress, and her dress blows up, kind of like
Marilyn Monroe.
Marilyn Monroe, yeah, sorry, not Marilyn Streep, Marilyn Monroe, yeah. And he's like watching her from a car, and he kind of starts fantasizing about her, and it ruins his marriage. It's not good.
Okay, yeah, I haven't.
But yeah, I mean, come on, Footloose and Ghostbusters were giant hits.
Even the other two,
Against All Odds, was a big hit too. I mean, and a great song. Yeah, it's wild. It's kind of wild.
So I'm not sure how to account for this, considering everyone must have heard all of these songs a billion times.
The only thing I can think of is, again, as we said in the last episode, the average age of the voter for the Oscars was really old, like 67. Not that that's really old, but like 70s. Right. I think was like the dominant age decade.
So you think all these other songs were a little too young for these folks, perhaps?
Yeah, maybe. And that they love Stevie Wonder, right?
I mean,
like, look
Stevie
at this
Wonder's
list of people.
great.
Like the person who had been around the longest at that point was, I mean, he would have been of their era.
Yeah, that's true.
If you were in your 70s in the 80s, then you'd really knew Stevie Wonder was, maybe more than you knew, Kenny Loggins or Ray Parker. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm speculating. It probably has nothing to do with it.
Who knows? Okay, Best Picture. You were right. Amadeus won for Best Picture. Nominees were The Killing Fields, A Passage to India, Places in the Heart, and A Soldier's Story. And I feel like you'd probably put 5 other movies.
Yeah, I have the same feelings that I had about the director here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the 1985 Oscars, the 1984 movies.
All right, let's blaze through one more year.
And then
we'll finish this up in the next week's episode.
Okay. So 1986, the movies of 85. Best Actor winner was William Hurt for Kiss of the Spider Woman. The nominees were Harrison Ford in Witness, James Garner in Murphy's Romance, and Jack Nicholson for Prizzi's Honor, and Jon Voight for Runaway Train. There's some good stuff in here.
Yeah. I didn't realize, I guess I'd forgotten that Harrison Ford had an Oscar nomination.
He did. And that movie's wonderful.
It's a great movie. I don't know how much of that comes from his performance.
Yeah, but, I feel like there's maybe other more worthy performances from him, but there it is.
None of these particularly excites me. I think Runaway Train is a cool movie, but I feel like Jon Voight's actually too big in it. And Prizzi's Honor is a great movie, but that's, if ever there was a movie where Nicholson is really playing himself, it's that one. So I don't know. Now that Nicholson's come up a few times, I'm reminded of his front and center place in most of the Oscars of the 90s. Oh yeah, he was always sitting in the front row in his sunglasses. Yeah.
So, and I don't remember when that started, but that was a big thing.
Yeah, it was a thing. Billy Crystal was always acknowledging him.
And I don't remember when it ended either, but there it is. Actor in a supporting role. The winner was Don Amici for Cocoon. The nominees were Klaus Maria Brandauer for Out of Africa. I don't know if I said that right, but
Brandauer.
William Hickey for Prizzi's Honor, Robert Loggia for Jagged Edge, and Eric Roberts for Runaway Train. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's another year of these guys were all fine. Mm-hmm.
Nobody stands out to you as wow.
Eric Roberts' character is kind of annoying in that movie. I love Cocoon.
Don Amici is delightful.
I don't know that I would single out Don Amici as
that
being
feels
particularly any better than any of the other older actors that are in that. It feels like such an
ensemble piece to me.
Yeah, Hume Cronin, Wilfred Brimley, they were all really good. So I'm not sure why Don Amici. I can't remember
know.
that he has any kind of big scene that the other guys don't get. But,
I can't say that I remember either. Well,
and, William Hickey, it's a kind of a strictly comic kind of one-note performance in Prizzi's honor. And Klaus Maria Brandauer was fine in Out of Africa, but, I don't know.
Stand out to you. Yeah. Actress in a leading role. The winner was Geraldine Page for The Trip to Bountiful. The nominees were Anne Bancroft for Agnes of God, Whoopi Goldberg in The Color Purple, Jessica Lange in Sweet Dreams, and Meryl Streep in Out of Africa. I've seen 2 of these.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the winner. All wonderful actresses.
Well, I remember F. Murray Abraham gave that award out because he had won the previous year. And when he announced the winner, he said, I consider this woman to be the greatest actress in the English language.
Oh.
And then he gave it to Geraldine Page. And she didn't have her shoes on.
No.
I don't know if she just didn't expect to win or what, but there was a long time where she wins and then her head disappears.
She's trying to get her shoes on.
And you're like, where did she go? Did she pass out? Is she laying on the floor? And it turns out she was looking for her shoes.
One of those little Oscar moments. That's kind of fun. Anything?
I would go Goldberg here.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
She's really good in that movie.
She is.
And was underrated as an actor, I think. And I think I don't know if you've ever seen her. Have you ever seen her one-woman show?
No, I've seen The Color Purple, but I have not seen her one-woman show.
Yeah, she did a couple of them, but the one she did that I think got her this job that Spielberg saw her in, she does 14 different characters.
Wow.
And she's incredible in it. She's a really, or was a really good actor.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't argue with that.
Who then just went on to do, broad comedic parts, which she was always great in.
Yeah, she's a comedian, but
I can't think of, struggling to think of something after
another
The
part
Color.
like this.
I mean, she won for Ghost.
Yeah.
And she was fine, but it was let's give Whoopi an Oscar for the thing that she does better than anybody, which is this kind of broad comedic part. And she deserved it. She was very good, but there wasn't a lot of range in that movie.
The Color Purple is a
character.
challenging role and not comedic at all, as I recall. Actress in a supporting role. The winner was Angelica Houston for Prizzi's Honor. Nominees were Margaret Avery for The Color Purple, Amy Madigan for Twice in a Lifetime, Meg Tilly for Agnes of God, and Oprah Winfrey for The Color Purple. Yeah,
Oprah was an Oscar nominee.
She was. She just can do anything.
Yeah. That was a thing. Now I forget that Oprah was also acting.
She was.
She did that. Yeah. Do you remember The Women of Brewster Place?
Yes.
It was a big miniseries turned TV series.
Yeah.
And, she was
she was out there doing that.
She was showing up and stuff. And this was at the height of her talk show power. So that was kind of wild. I forgot that she was kind of doing that.
I think this is why we all consider her to be what we consider her to be. Yeah. She can do anything.
Yeah.
Anything else on...
No, I don't really remember most of these performances. I love Amy Madigan, though. I think she was always another kind of undervalued actress. Performer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she worked a lot, so it's not like she was not getting work or anything, but I think underappreciated
undersung.
For how good she always was. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Directing. Winner was Out of Africa, Sidney Pollack for Out of Africa. Mm-hmm. Nominees were Hector Babenco, for Kiss of the Spider Woman, John Huston for Prizzi's Honor, Akira Kurosawa for Ron, and Peter Weir for Witness.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Sidney Pollack has a shirt that says, I beat Kurosawa.
I mean, holy mackerel. I didn't realize that. Wow. I haven't seen that, but I know Kurosawa he's a god of directing. So, wow. Yeah. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. What are your thoughts? We watched Out of Africa not too long ago.
Yeah, we did.
And I thought it was fine. I thought it was weirdly edited or something. It felt like there were narrative leaps in it and kind of disjunctive.
Yeah.
I remember many moments thinking oh, wait, now what? I don't know.
That's
I just
true.
remember being
have some, now that you mention
kind of confused by some of it, feeling it was kind of distant or something. I was watching I don't know.
I mean, I guess I'll say this. I don't remember it all that well. So that probably
She's
says
not saying
something.
much because we just watched it like 2 or 3 months ago.
Yeah. And I remember Witness a whole lot better and really like it. I don't know that that's a reason to give something an Oscar, but I haven't seen Ron. I can't speak to that. I haven't seen Prizzi's Honor. I haven't seen Kiss of the Spider Woman.
Yeah.
So I can't speak to any of those, although I know some of those are amazing directors.
Yeah. I think if we end up doing like director dedicated episodes of this show, then we should do one on Peter Weir, because he's really one of my favorite
He's wonderful
filmmakers and worked in so many genres and did such interesting work in all of them. He like every movie he made, every genre movie he made, which I would consider Witness part of that, you know, it's a crime thriller, had like interesting, like meditative qualities
I love that.
That kind of elevated it. And that was sort of his thing, like Picnic at Hanging Rock, and
which is something I'd love to see and have not.
But like Year of Living Dangerously, Dead Poets Society, like Green Card as a romantic comedy is a very unusual romantic comedy, right?
Kind of moody.
It has this very strange tone.
Contemplative tone. I mean, you're right. I mean, Witness also has one of those things that I prize in a movie. I think it has a very good sense of place, that sort of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. I use Witness in my editing class, a couple scenes, because another thing that it does really well is it has a lot of good non-dialogue driven narrative.
Right.
There's several scenes in it that have no dialogue in them where a lot happens narratively, and it's all conveyed through facial expressions and body language and camera angles and editing rhythms, and it's just, you know, shows what a masterful filmmaker Peter Weir was.
I was going to say that speaks to good directing in my book. So I mean, I guess I'd have to vote for that, although I have not seen the others, and it feels wrong to vote against Kurosawa. So
all right, what about song?
Music, original song. The winner was "Say You, Say Me" in White Nights by Lionel Richie. Yeah,
I mean, Lionel Richie was great. This was not one of his better songs.
Yep.
Say you, say me.
I guess I can't stop you.
Say it for always.
Yeah. That's the way it should be. The nominees were Miss Ceely's Blues, Sister in The Color Purple. That was by Quincy Jones and other people. Lionel Richie's involved in that one too. The Power of Love by Huey Lewis from Back to the Future. Also from White Nights, Separate Lives, which I remember. I didn't realize it was from White Nights. And Surprise, Surprise in a Chorus Line by Marvin Hamlish. I don't know. I mean, The Power of Love is probably the one.
I mean, it's clear to me.
The Power of Love.
It's got to be The Power of Love.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, only one of these songs survives to this day.
Well, I mean, I've heard Say You, Say Me and Separate Lives, but The Power of Love is the one that has the most staying power.
When you think of Back to the Future musically, I mean, there's two things. There's The Power of Love, and then there's that Silvestri theme. Dun, dun,
right.
Dun, 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 dun,
so you're right. I mean, maybe this speaks to your feeling about like it should be a song that,
and it's used in the opening credits where he's like trying to get to school on his skateboard. He's riding behind Jeeps on his skateboard. I mean, it's just it's one of those. It's like a music video almost.
Yeah. So I mean, you're right. Maybe it's all about how well used the song is.
Yeah.
Let's go through Best Picture. The winner was...
I think it's just all the director nominees.
Yeah, probably.
Basically.
We've got Out of Africa as the winner. The nominees were The Color Purple, Kiss of the Spider Woman, Prizzi's Honor, and Witness.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know.
Of
those, I mean, I would probably go Witness. But...
Yeah. There's some other great movies in there, though.
Yeah. All right. So we will wrap up our epic tour. It's become kind of an epic tour. I didn't realize this would take us this long.
Well,
but
it takes a while to get through.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's 10 years of Oscars. And so tune in next time to see what dress I'll be wearing, to hear what dress I'll be wearing.
To hear what dress you'll be wearing.
And
I love the sound of your dress.
Don't you? The American Express Gold cards do make a lot of noise. So
you should rub your dress up against the microphone or something.
I wouldn't mess with the sound.
Some way to bring it into this
I wouldn't
audio
mess
medium.
with the sound. All right. Well, we'll see you next time.
All right. Thanks.
You've been listening to The Long Rewind. The program is produced by Dustin Morrow and hosted by me, Lisa Molinelli. If you enjoy the show, please consider hitting the subscribe button, leave us a good review on your podcast app, and tell your friends about the program. We'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.